Hello, and welcome to the Chapter 1 Basic Training for Teachers. The Chapter 1 online reading volunteer program provides one-to-one literacy support that is focused on individualized reading practice for first and second grade students. Each week, students selected for the program will get 30 minutes of one-to-one reading practice with a dedicated volunteer who will help them practice their reading and work on activities that build word recognition, comprehension, and fluency. The goal is for students to have consistent one-to-one weekly reading practice with a mentor who can help them strengthen their reading skills and build their reading confidence. Based on our year-end survey results, over 90% of teachers reported this extra one-to-one reading practice with a Chapter 1 volunteer was time well spent. To provide this service to your school, our volunteers are recruited from corporations who partner with Chapter 1. Because your dedicated corporate partner supports the online reading program financially, we are able to provide your students with one-to-one reading support at no cost to your school. What follows is what you will need to know to get the program started in your classroom. Chapter 1 will provide your classroom with a tutoring laptop that is set up specifically for the online program and a special headset that has specific noise-canceling features built into the microphone. The computer and the headset are to be used for the Chapter 1 program only. We provide this equipment so there is always a dedicated laptop and a quality headset available for the reading sessions. If the equipment is used for other software programs or activities, it compromises the program and interferes with the scheduled reading sessions. Please take some time to explain to students how to take proper care of the equipment. This will go a long way in keeping the equipment in good working condition. You might consider explaining to the children that the equipment is for the classroom and should only be used for their reading sessions with their online volunteer. Show students how to put on the headset and where to position the microphone. Explain to the student that other than putting on the headset, they do not need to touch the equipment during their reading session. The volunteer drives the entire session. Instruct students to hang the headset on the computer when they are done so that it can be easily accessible for the next student to read with their volunteer. We understand that accidents may happen and equipment may sometimes get damaged. If the equipment does get damaged, lost, or stolen, please let us know immediately by contacting your program manager, chat support, or email us at help@chapter1.org. We will take steps to get you a replacement as soon as possible. Before we can assign volunteers to your students, there are 3 tasks you will need to complete. Create an account for each participating student, block off time on the shared scheduling calendar, and get parental permission to participate in the online reading program. What follows is a guide to completing these tasks. To log on to the Chapter 1 platform, go to app.chapter1.org. Enter your district email address. Next, create a password by clicking on the Forgot Password link. You will receive an email in your district email box that includes a link to create a password. The only criteria for setting your password is that it must contain at least 8 characters. The first time you log into the platform, you will be prompted to select a Chapter 1 application. For the online reading volunteer program, select Volunteer Platform. You are now logged into the Chapter 1 platform. The platform serves 2 functions. 1, where students will have their reading sessions, and 2, a management platform where you can manage the class list, set up the scheduling calendar, send and receive volunteer messages, view reports, and access the Learning Center. Our focus today will be the class list and the scheduling calendar. Before reading sessions begin, you will need to add students to the class list and set up the scheduling calendar to reflect those times during the school day when you do not want volunteers to call the classroom. These 2 steps should only take about 30 minutes of your time to complete. You should know that based on our agreement with your school, we have set a target start date for your classroom and have shared that target start date with the volunteer group assigned to your school. Most classrooms can expect to begin the program in late September or early October. Your program manager will share that information with you during the first few weeks of school. If you find that you do not have time or that you're unsure of what to do, contact your program manager as soon as possible and they can help you. We want to make sure that we are meeting everybody's expectations and that volunteers are notified if there will be a delay in the start date. Your cooperation with this will be greatly appreciated. From any computer connected to the internet, go to app.chapter1.org and sign into the platform using your district email and the password you just created. Each time you sign in, the first screen presented is the welcome screen, also called the rocket page. The welcome screen must be presented for the incoming volunteer call to ring on the computer. To access the classroom management system, click on the Classroom Management link at the top of the screen. You are now in the Classroom Management view. Here you can manage your class list, create the scheduling calendar, send messages to and receive messages from volunteers, view reports, and access the Learning Center. The first task is to add participating students to the class list. Students selected for the program should be emerging readers and know basic CVC words. Please do not select students who have not yet mastered letter sounds and letter names. The program does not include content that supports basic letter and sound identification. We recommend you select 10 students for the program. If your school is using Clever and Chapter 1 has partnered with your district to access Clever, the class list may already be populated. In this case, click on the purple pencil to complete each student's profile. To begin adding students, click on the Class List link from the menu. Click on the Add Student icon on the right side of the screen. Enter the first and last name of the student. Please note that for schools participating in our High Impact program, the student name may already be in our database. If the student is already in our database, their information will auto-populate. After you enter the student's first and last name, click Add Student. From the Student Profile screen, the first step is to select the student's initial reading band. Student reading bands begin at kindergarten and end at grade 2. If you do not use reading bands, a reading band chart can be found in the Learning Center. Next, select the current reading band. In the beginning of the year, the initial reading band and current reading band are usually the same. Throughout the year, update the current reading band as needed. Updating the current band changes the difficulty of the stories and the activities that are presented to the student. This is important as we do not want students reading at the same level for the entire school year. Next, indicate the student's gender. Give the student a priority number. Priority numbers go from 1 to 10, with the number 1 being top priority or a student who should be assigned to a volunteer first. If the student needs Spanish support, check the Yes box. We will do our best to find a Spanish-speaking volunteer. Under Program Access, select Volunteer Reading. This will enroll the student in the online reading program. You may also populate the fields for race and FRL status, but these are not required. The study group field is specific to our High Impact program and will be managed by the Chapter 1 Literacy Specialist. To complete the profile for the student, click Save Changes. Complete this process for each student participating in the online reading program. Anytime you need to revise the student profile, click on the purple edit pencil and make the necessary changes. If you need to delete a student, click on the red trash can. If you do delete a student and that student has an assigned volunteer, please let us know by sending our support team a message from the message section of the platform. We will notify the volunteer of the change. We don't want volunteers calling the classroom if their student is no longer available. Now let's take a look at how to set up the scheduling calendar. The scheduling calendar is shared by you and the volunteers assigned to your classroom and is where volunteers will schedule their weekly sessions. Volunteers will view this calendar for days that are not blocked out by you and will schedule their reading sessions during the available times you have provided. A blockout on the calendar shows up in black and are times that are not available for volunteers to sign up for the reading session. For example, during lunch or special activities that occur frequently throughout the week. Keep in mind that you will have 10 individuals looking for time on the calendar. Like you, they also have busy schedules that they're trying to work around. It's helpful to leave open enough time so there is some flexibility. Volunteers often have schedule changes throughout the week due to meetings and projects. Leaving open 20, 30-minute blocks is a good rule to follow and will leave open some time should a volunteer need to reschedule their session due to a work conflict. Typically, you can expect to receive one call in the morning and one call in the afternoon each day. To begin, block out known times first. These are easy, like lunch or specials, times that are consistent from day to day or from week to week. To block out a chunk of time, click in the cell and drag down for the time you want to block out. When you have the desired time blocked, release your mouse. The new event screen will display. Here you will need to set the repeat status. Repeat status has 3 options: do not repeat, repeat weekly, and repeat daily. Select Do Not Repeat if you're blocking out a day or time that is temporary, like for a field trip or an assembly. This will block out time for that day and time only. Select Repeat Weekly if you want to block out time from week to week. For example, every Tuesday you want to block out time from 10 to 12 because your students always have a special activity on that day each week. Select Repeat Daily if you want to block out that same time every single day of the week. This status is useful for blocking out times like lunch or any time you want to block out for the entire week. When you're done, click Save. You can always make changes to the blockout times on the calendar. To make an adjustment to an entry, click in the blockout cell that you would like to change or modify. If you want to make a change for the current week only, select This Event Only. If you want to make a change for all events from week to week, select All Repeating Events. When you're done making your changes, click Update Event. If you want to delete the event entirely, click Delete Event. As volunteers begin to sign up, you will see their name and the student's name appear in purple on the day and time they plan to work with your student. Blocking out times on the shared calendar when volunteers should not call the classroom is an important step to complete as soon as possible. Volunteers cannot sign up for a reading session until the scheduling calendar has been completed. If you need help or you would like us to manage blocking out times on the calendar for you, contact your program manager. Your program manager will be more than happy to help you complete the scheduling calendar. A feature of the scheduling calendar includes the attendance screen. The attendance screen will display each morning with the list of students who have reading sessions on that day and the time of their session. If all students listed are present, click Save Attendance. An email will be sent to each volunteer who has a reading session scheduled that day, letting them know their student is at school. If a student is absent on that day, click on the toggle switch to change from present to absent. Again, when you click Save Attendance, each volunteer will receive an email letting them know the attendance status for their student. Attendance should be taken as often as possible so volunteers are not calling the classroom when their student is not available. The third and final step is to get parents' permission for the participating students. There are 2 options available for obtaining permission from parents. 1. Send home a paper permission form, or 2. Email a link for parents to register their child for the program online. Paper forms can be accessed by clicking on the registration printout link located on the class list screen. Parents should complete the paper form and return the completed form to the school. You can also locate a paper permission form from the Learning Center. If you would like to use the online permission form option, you can also do this from the class list screen. There are 2 links to choose from: a classroom registration link and a student registration link. The classroom or student links are convenient options for sending the parents the link in an email so they can complete the form online. The electronic link should be sent from your school email address. From the class list, click on either the classroom link or the student link. Paste the link directly into the body of your email. Be sure to explain to families what the link is for and what they should do. For example, you might want to let them know that their child has been selected to participate in an online reading program during the school day. The program provides one-to-one reading practice each week. Instruct the caregiver to click on the link to complete the permission form. When sending the classroom registration link, the link will include a list of all students in your classroom and is the best link to send at the beginning of the school year when sending to a group of parents. Parents will be able to select their student's first name and last initial from a drop-down list. Use the student registration link if you want to send to one parent only. When sending a student registration link, only the name of the student will be presented. For example, you may want to send a reminder link to one parent who has not yet completed the online form. As parents complete the online registration form, the permission status will automatically populate under the parental consent column. This will provide you with the most up-to-date information on what students have completed the permission form online in our database. As students return the paper permission form, use your cell phone to take a picture of the form and send it to your Chapter 1 program manager. We will upload the form and add it to our database for you. This concludes our Chapter 1 Basic Training for Teachers. By way of reminder, please visit the Learning Center for information about the Chapter 1 stories and activities, how to set up the volunteer computer in your classroom, training the phone greeter, how to message volunteers, and reporting features.